All right, we'll see if this is working here in a minute. Doing our little live stream thing. I gotta verify it's actually working. Looks like it's working. Gotta verify it's. Yep. All right. Well, this way, if I get any chat messages, I should be able to answer them. But yeah, this is a. Oh, come on, my camera's not focusing very well. This is a sort of a happy birthday to me / I thought I'd do a little video real quick to show you guys. I don't know if you can see the cursor of my mouse. It doesn't look like you can, so that doesn't. I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with OBS settings that well, so I apologize in advance for not knowing what the fuck I'm doing. But yeah, so like in the bottom left hand corner and the bottom right corner, you should see these Janssen drives, which is kind of interesting. So I'll show you what I got here. I got it delivered today, and I didn't even know they made this product. Some of the people I talked to said that they were aware of it, so I don't know if they were just trying to sound smart or if they actually knew this existed. But apparently these have been out for like 12 years, so maybe I was just unaware and I was ignorant. But they make IDE solid state drives, which you might ask yourself, why the fuck would you want that? Well, that's a fair question. But this is from a company called King Spec, which I again not heard of, but again, as old as these are, then it doesn't really surprise me. So a lot of you probably, depending on how long some of you have been into computers, you may or may not be familiar with IDE, or that if you are, that they made a product like this, which apparently is sort of like a stopgap product for people who have older systems and want to try to get a little bit of oomph out of them before they trade in for something else. But boy, this thing is not wanting to come out of the bag. Here we go. All right, so I'll set this off to the side. This is only a 64 gig model, and it was like $40. So the larger ones were, I think the biggest one that they had was like 128 gigs, and it was like $90 or something. I wasn't going to spend that much money for that kind of storage capacity. And the drive in the laptop I'm going to put this in is only 80 gigs anyway, so this is pretty comparable to that drive. But I don't know if you can see this, but you can see it has your PATA, IDE pins instead of SATA connections, but otherwise looks like your standard solid state drive. So my cat's getting goofy. He gets weird at certain times of the day. He does what he does. And he'll probably be talking the whole time. Kitty, doing a show. So you can see 64 gig, 2.5 inch PATA. This should work in my old Alienware laptop. The one that I did, I got a sound card for it here. I showed you guys a little while back this Sound Blaster Audigy ZS for notebooks. It even comes with a little, I don't even know why, like it'd give you something this short. Maybe you could put this in a machine, I guess, but it comes with a little IDE ribbon cable and 4 screws that you could mount it into. Probably a desktop chassis is what a lot of people probably wanted to use this for. I don't know. But what I'm going to do with it, which I've shown this laptop previously off before, but this is an older, much older Alienware machine that I've had for quite some time. It's pretty heavy. I don't remember what year it was made, but it's got like a socket 478 Pentium 4, which is the first socket Pentium 4s were in, as opposed to LGA 775, where they improved things a bit for the second generation Pentium 4s, and then they started moving into, I think Core 2 Duos used that socket as well. But anyways, but this is a socket 478. It actually uses a desktop CPU. If I were to take this thing apart, like I don't have it apart right now, but the cooling on this thing for a laptop is absurd. It's probably why this thing is as heavy as it is, at least in part. But other things that this laptop has that are nice, beefy bonus features for the time period is it has I think the screen resolution is 1600 by 900, which at the time was about as high as you could get on a laptop. I don't think 1080p was the thing. They had most displays. Actually, I don't know if that's the right resolution or not, but I think that I think that is, because 16 by 10 is what, like 1600 by 1050, I think, resolution. So 1600 by 900 should be 4 by 3. So it is a 4 by 3 display. If I open this up here, you can kind of see it's tall, so it's you know, it's more of a square than it is a rectangle in terms of aspect ratio. But so it's very high resolution for the time frame. It maxes out at only 2 gigs of RAM, so you're pretty much stuck running Windows XP, which I have like an unofficial Service Pack 4 version of XP on this. But even so, there are things that you can't do with it because they don't support it on XP anymore. Like Steam, for example, I can't install my Steam library on this to try certain games. Like I have Starbound I've been playing. I wanted to see if this could run it, but I can't install it on the system because Steam is not supported on Windows XP anymore. So that's a limitation. Looks like somebody might be watching. See, I don't know. I'm on the live stream because I'm logged into it with my phone. I don't know. It says someone's watching, but I think that that's me watching myself. Is what this. It says somebody is watching. This is kind of later in the day to be doing this too on a weeknight. I took the day off for the birthday. I have tomorrow off as well, and you know, of course, most people have to work the next few days, so you know they probably are getting ready for bed, or at least they're not sitting here watching 40-year-old men talk about IDE solid state drives. Anyways, but it maxed out at 2 gigs of RAM, so that's kind of a limiting factor for trying to, like, otherwise I might have tried to put Windows 7 on it, but I think 2 gigs is like the minimum for that, but you probably want more like 4 and maybe even a little bit more. And then Windows 10, of course, like you really don't want to do anything less than 4, and usually more like 8 just to do basic stuff. And then for any kind of gaming, now this isn't going to run any modern games, that was never the idea, but I just wanted to see what it could or couldn't do and how well it could handle certain. There's like even Half-Life 2, like I did a video on that today. Now I wouldn't try to run the modded version of Half-Life 2 on this, but the original version I bet it could handle pretty well. It'd be fun to screw around with that, and just to get some extra life out of it and have some fun with it. But Steam will not install because it's XP and they've stopped supporting it. What I was going to try to do first with this IDE SSD that I've got is put Linux on it instead, because I know that there's like on Ubuntu there is support. I think Steam has support for Ubuntu, and there's actually quite a few games that have a Linux version. Now finding drivers for this, I don't know, and I haven't played with Linux in quite a while. I remember how to do a lot of things in it, but it's been years since I've really played with it, you know, with any sincerity. And for finding video drivers for this, I don't know. This is a GeForce Go FX 5700 128 meg card, which for the time period, again, was just absolutely, you know, balls to the walls. You could play any game at the time with it. The games that I do have installed on here on the hard drive play quite well on this machine. So like Unreal Tournament 2004 I have on here, and it plays that very well. So it does a good job for the games from the era that it was designed to play. But modern games, of course, would be a non-starter. But that's fine. So I'm going to be playing around with that here. It's getting too late today to screw with it, but tomorrow I'll probably try to download and install, you know, an ISO for Ubuntu and throw that on here first and just see how it runs that, see what drivers I can find, and try to do some Linux gaming. So that'd be kind of fun. I've never done Linux gaming, so that would be interesting. Something to play with. Hopefully, Linux is pretty good about having drivers for a lot of stuff. So most of it, I bet, will probably work out of the box. Like the network card should work. Audio should probably work. Maybe not, but probably. The only thing that I'm thinking probably I'll have to find, other than, like, I mean, it'll work for like in the basic desktop environment, but for gaming, I will probably have to try to find a Linux driver for the GPU, and that may or may not be possible. As old as this thing is, I don't even know if they were writing any kind of Linux drivers for GPUs back then. I don't know. Whatever. It'll take some time to fiddle around with it, but that's a project that I plan to do here. Play around with and keep myself busy. So that's kind of the next thing to do. But I wanted to just jump on for a little bit and say hi, see how everybody's doing. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. And I just did that video today of modded Half-Life 2. I found I've done that in the past. I don't know why my camera's losing focus again. This is the Logitech Brio, and for some reason this is also having some focus issues. I don't know what the deal is with cameras. Let's see, it's just bad focus. I'm trying to get it to quit that shit. It's pretty blurry. I don't know why it's doing that. So it'll do what it wants to do. Whatever. What was I saying? Shit. Talked myself into a corner. I forgot where the fuck I was at with that. Oh yeah, I just want to see how you guys. Oh yeah, okay. So sorry. Half-Life 2 modded version, Fake Factory cinematic mod, and then I got Reshade to work with it, and it's the Reshade ray tracing edition that I got from Pascal Gilcher. I think is it Pascal Gilcher or Sonic Ether? Sonic Ether does Minecraft stuff. Sorry. So yeah, it's Pascal Gilcher. I Patreoned him for a month, gave him like $20 and got access to all his stuff. So I was able to download his latest editions of the Reshade, shader mod basically for that runs. It works on most games. I haven't been able to get it to work in everything, and it never looks good to me. Like it doesn't matter what I get it to work on. It there's got to be either something I'm doing wrong, or it just isn't a particularly useful mod yet. I don't know. Like games that are actually designed to use ray tracing look amazing. Like if you guys have seen, I did a couple videos, I think at least one on Quake 2 with ray tracing, and it looks phenomenal for a game that is older than that laptop. Like that's how old Quake 2 is. It came out before that laptop did, and with ray tracing, and they did some like texture replacements for the original game textures to make the environment look a little bit better. But just adding ray tracing alone, the game looks fucking amazing. And I don't get that when I use the ray tracing Reshade mod. Like nothing I've used it on has been anywhere near that kind of improvement. Mostly, it just seems to add some more realism to the shadows in the game and the lighting, which I think is all it's really supposed to do. But it's just not as mind blowing. Like when you go on and you see people, there's a guy, I think the channel's called like Digital Foundry or something like that, but he does a lot of videos where he uses the ray tracing Reshade mod, and I don't want to say he's lying, but I think he's lying, and that's not all he's enabling. So if you use Reshade, anybody on here who's used it and knows what it does, I mean, you have all these different filters and effects you can add, like Technicolor and depth of field and all these different things you can turn on. So when he does those videos and says it's ray tracing, yeah, that's probably one of the things he's turned on, but he's probably also turned on like 15 other effects. So it appears to be this major improvement, and ray tracing doesn't do that, or at least the ray tracing Reshade is not that pronounced of a bit. It's not a big deal when you turn it on, or at least not as much as again they're trying to make it out to be. I've watched a couple demo videos on other people turning it on and showing you how to use it, and theirs hasn't really been like a profound difference either. It's strictly when it's when you use it plus you use these other reshade filters that the game can start to look pretty impressive. I got to work on Enderall, which is like a Skyrim remake mod that somebody did. They used like the Skyrim assets, but they made like a whole different game using like I said, the character assets and like the armor and things from Skyrim. I think they have made some of their own stuff too. I don't want to say that like it's just all asset flipping, but whatever. That's available on Steam. I think it's free if you have Skyrim, or it might just be free in general. As long as you have Skyrim installed, it's considered a mod from like the workshop or something. But Enderall is like a whole different game unto itself. I got that to work with the Reshade and the ray tracing on that. And I mean, it looks better when you turn it on, but it's such a frame rate hit too that it's like it's not really worth doing almost for the marginal improvement in visual fidelity that you get. So I don't know. It's a subjective thing. It's like whether you think it's worth it or not. But even on the hardware I'm running it on, it's like it's very taxing on the system. Like it'll damn near cut your frame rate in half depending on the game that you're playing. And it's kind of like, is that worth doing for a little more shadow and like seemingly slightly more realistic lighting? If it was a pronounced major thing like you get in ray tracing optimized games, again like Quake 2, or there's a game called Control, which I haven't played because it's on the Epic Game Store. Once that comes out on Steam, which I think usually those Epic Game exclusives are like 6 months or maybe a year, and then Metro Exodus is another one that uses ray tracing. So by the time those games are available on Steam, the RTX 3000 series should be out, hopefully. In which case, maybe ray tracing will be a lot more easily done without massacring your frame rate, and that'll be kind of cool. I'd like to try some of those games out once I can play them. Like I say, without a big frame rate hit. I think that Battlefield 5 uses ray tracing. I'm pretty sure it does actually, but I don't play that. I have it, but I don't play it. I played around on the demo a little bit. I'm really bad at first-person shooters. Like if you watch that video I did of Half-Life 2 again today, it's like I just did like little snippets of me killing guys pretty much. But like if I had played the whole video for you, or like all the footage, I'm terrible. I can shoot them just fine, but it's like I never know where they are until I've been shot 2 or 3 times, and by then you're half dead. And it's like, how are you supposed to know where the guy is? I don't know. I feel like the accuracy, the enemy's accuracy in that game is way too high. It's like as soon as you're even like poking your face around a corner somewhere, you're half dead because they've shot you 3, 4 times in the face. And it's like, how did they even see where I was, let alone have that kind of accuracy? It feels like Grand Theft Auto 5 or the cops never miss kind of scenario. I think that game comes from an era where things were intended to be much more difficult, whereas today it's like some of it has been sort of dumbed down and made easier for people. That's, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't really play shooters that much anymore, so I could be off. But that's how I remember it, is that like I say, they used to be a lot harder, and nowadays it's like but I'm just that much worse that it doesn't matter. I'm not competitive in those kind of games, so I don't play them. I'm terrible at them, and it's like, why play something that is just going to make you angry or make you, be like, well, I can't win in this one. I'm going to play something that's impossible for me to make any kind of progress in. But anyways, what else is going on? Again, birthday, so opened some stuff that my brother and my sister and my parents had sent me in the mail. I got some cooking stuff from my parents, which is cool because I like to do stuff on the grill. I did a video here like 3 or 4 weeks ago where I did some venison burgers. I know that's kind of not typical content for my channel, but hopefully people like that kind of stuff. Once in a while I'll try to do a video about something totally different. But anyways, they sent me, my dad sent me this box. It's like a metal box with holes in it that you can put wood chips in of different kinds. So, for smoking is what it's for. So I bought some cherry wood chips, but you can get hickory, you can get, apple wood, you can get, any of the usual kind of stuff that people like to smoke. And you put, however many chips you want in the box, but basically fill it up. It's about this big, and about that thick, maybe like 2 inches thick. But you fill it up with wood chips, you put it on the grill, and let it sit for like, 5-10 minutes on having the heat low on the grill until it starts producing smoke from the box. Then you throw the meat on the grill on the other side of it and close the lid, and so the wood smoke permeates the meat for as you cook it. And then you go out and you turn it and then close the lid back down and do that until it's done cooking. So not only are you getting the grilling aspect of it, but you're getting the smoking aspect of it as well. And like I said, I did cherry in mine tonight and did a it was like it was over a pound Angus ribeye steak. Yeah, that was really good. And then I did some sauteed mushrooms with garlic butter and Parmesan cheese. Fucking awesome. Put those on there as the side. And so tonight, what we're drinking for our birthday beverage, Angel's Envy bourbon, which is a pretty good freaking bourbon. I will tell you. Not that I'm a connoisseur. I don't have the palate of these connoisseur level people who can sit there and try to tell you why one bourbon is better than another. I just know that some taste better than others to me, and that's about the best I can say with any kind of sincerity, is that I like one more than another after I've tried it. Why? Like they'll tell you it's peaty or it has a nice heady nose to it, or whatever the fuck terminology that they use to describe the way it smells. And it was like, smells like bourbon, but there are varying degrees, and this is a very smooth tasting bourbon compared to some that I've had that have more of a bite or a kick to it, however you want to put the verbiage. But this stuff, I mean, you can drink it for a while and you don't really feel like you've had too much to drink, or I should say, it's like it gradually will creep up on you as far as starting to feel the the effects of it. But I've had a glass of it before I made the video, and I don't feel like I've had anything to drink, and I don't have a major alcohol tolerance or anything like that. I don't drink that often, so but I like this stuff pretty well. So cheers to me cheers to all my subscribers. I'm trying to get to 400. We're really getting close. I don't know what kind of videos I need to be doing to drop. Well, I kind of do it. I kind of don't to draw people in. One sec. Like the videos I've done that have had the most success, unfortunately, it's like there's so much money involved in doing this stuff. I got to figure out a way to make subscribe. Maybe it's just my personality and people don't want to hear me fucking talk, and that's certainly possible. But because there's channels where people don't spend a dime other than like on their basic recording equipment, and they clearly make way more subscribers than I do. So that's probably it. Is the delivery. I maybe a little monotone, something like that. Maybe I don't do enough. I don't do any real video editing. Like I splice clips together and I crank out a video editing software, but I don't know how to make it pop the way that some people do. Is the best way I would put it. Like for example, there's a guy I started watching recently called the Internet Historian, who is fucking hilarious. I totally recommend his channel to anybody watching right now, which is currently still just me watching. So anybody who watches this later, Internet Historian is awesome, but it's really bizarre material. It's like he's super random with the stuff that he talks about, and then the way he delivers the material is really odd and kind of random seeming. Plus, he has an accent. I want to say it's either like somewhere between Australian and British, but I think it's British. And so, to me, it's just like the old Monty Python and the Holy Grail kind of stuff. I always thought that that stuff probably wouldn't be nearly as funny if it weren't for the fact that the guys doing it were British. It's like the accent adds like 30 to 50% of the humor by itself. So that's again personal point of preference, but I've always thought that they're funnier because of the tone of voice that they use. So in his case, maybe that's partly why I find him so funny. But maybe that's got something to do with it too. It just seems like some people hit and some people miss when they come on here and try to make videos. And I'm trying to figure out what I need to do to get a bigger draw to the channel. I don't do that many videos either. But Internet Historian does like one every 2 months, and he's got like 2.5 million subscribers. So that's probably not it either. But what I was going to say is like the videos that I've done that have been as successful as they are. Like I think the most videos I have some that have had maybe 30 or 40,000 views. So that's for a channel my size, that's really good. Those were really good videos that had a lot of views, but nobody subscribed. Or it's like again, like people will watch some of my videos, but they don't seem to be enticed to hit the subscribe button to come back and watch something else in the future. And the videos that did well are the ones where I review hardware that like just came out. Like for example, I did a one where I reviewed when Samsung first started making QLED monitors and they had like their first gaming monitors. I reviewed one of those, and I don't even really review things so much as I like unbox it and show you how to set it up and kind of give you an overhaul or an overview of what you can do with it to some degree. But I don't get as in depth as like some of these channels like Hardware Unboxing, Hardware Canucks, Jay's 2 Cents. Actually, Jay's 2 Cents doesn't always go that far in depth either. But in general, some of those channels they'll tell you every little detail about like the bit color depth available on the monitor and like the DCI, what is it, DCI 5 colors, P3, whatever the fuck it is, color spectrum. So like I don't even know what some of that stuff means. I don't want to sound like I'm ignorant, but it's like there's so much stuff to know that a lot of the stuff that I just ramble on, or like when I review a product, I already knew the stuff about it that I knew about it just because I'm interested in it, and I read like the product page and got enough information from that to where I could basically use it and set it up. Plus, I've been building computers for so many years. It's like a lot of the stuff isn't that different from the last thing, so I can pretty much describe what a product can or will do without really doing any real research on it. Maybe that's something I need to do is start doing more research. But again, it's like that monitor, let's say, was like $300. The video cards I use have been like $1,200. Like I got that NanoCell TV I think that was $1,000 or $1,100. I've got a sound bar I never bothered to do a review on because I don't know what good it would do necessarily to review it, because it's like the audio quality isn't going to translate to anything I can show you guys. Like you're not going to be able to hear how good it sounds if I record it with something else, I got a Sony. What the hell's the? I forget the freaking. It's HCL 5000, something like that. But it's an Atmos, Dolby Atmos soundbar. It's fucking awesome. And I use that with the LG NanoCell TV. And for example, I watched the Witcher series on Netflix, which supports Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos sound. And that TV supports Dolby Vision, so I was able to get the full bells and whistles out of it using that soundbar. Badass soundbar, but again, it's like I don't know really how I would review that or be able to tell you why it's better than another model so much. Or again, it's like this model can run at 196k hertz, that kind of shit. It's like, what does that mean to you, the listener? What does that mean to me, the person telling it to you? Other than just rattling off specs, is it useful to you? I don't know. So what would be handy is if people could leave comments maybe on one of my videos, this one if you watch it, but in any, if people could leave comments that said specifically what they're interested in seeing from me. But it seems like the best way for me to get views, at least, but again, views don't always translate into more subscribers, but it seems like the best way for me to get more views, as it's like I have to get some new piece of hardware that just came out, that people are really kind of anticipating coming down the pike, that there's some hype for. For example, like with I did a video about my RTX 2060 Super Evo 8 gig Asus card, right? That's got like 27,000 views on it or something. Again, for my channel, that's really good. But it's like not even 1 in 100 people that watch that view subscribe to the channel. Probably 1 in 1,000 didn't even subscribe to the channel. So they watched it. Most of the people that rated it gave it a thumbs up. It has like a couple hundred thumbs up or something like that on it. So, and that's been my experience too. Is like people who bother to review the video to give it a like or a dislike is like 1 in 10 of the people that watched it. So it's like if 2,000 people watched it, 20 people will give it a thumb up or a thumb down, pretty much. It's like not that many people are willing to even bother to click like or anything like that, or leave a comment, that kind of stuff. I know from the YouTube algorithm promotes videos that receive likes, comments, and or shares. So if you guys are willing, anybody watching these videos, if they're willing to leave a like, leave a comment. I don't even care if you tell me I'm a fucking moron in the comments. Just leave a comment. It doesn't matter what you say. You can say a bunch of gobbledygook. It doesn't even have to be English, or it doesn't have to be, a human language. It can just be spam. Just type something, but it'll help me in the algorithm and push my videos up a little bit. So, again, I'm just trying to think of ways to promote the channel a little bit and help myself out, to get more subscribers. It'd be cool to even get to 1,000 one day. That's still a very small channel, but it'd be kind of an accomplishment for me. I'd like to be able to say that I had a even halfway decent channel. And then if I got to that point, maybe I could reach out to companies, and maybe I should just start doing this anyway. I mean, this would help my channel. Just reach out to companies like MSI, Gigabyte, EVGA, Asus, ASRock. I don't know how to reach out to some of those companies, but like for example with EVGA, I could probably just call them because they have their tech support line, and they might be able to tell me who I should get with. But try to do like a corporate sponsorship kind of thing where they send me something to review and then I send it back later. Like I think guys like Jay's 2 Cents, that's what they get. It's like they've got millions of subscribers, so like it's like ultra cheap advertising for MSI. Even if you were to break the product or just keep it and be unwilling to send it back for some reason, what are they out? Like a couple $100, maybe $1,000, depending on what it is that they gave him to review. Like whether it's a monitor, whether it's a video card, whether it's a motherboard, whatever it is that he's reviewing. Let's just say it's worth $1,000. How much does advertising cost? Like way, way more than that. You're talking, and it's not like computer companies really advertise on TV. I don't watch television, so maybe they do, but I don't think that they do. You don't usually see any real ads for Asus. You don't see ads for EVGA. So how do they get the word out there? Well, I guess they use the term influencers seems to be the common parlance today for people on YouTube who kind of pimp certain products for companies. But it's like, if EVGA sent me a video card or a motherboard to play with, I'd happily review it for them and send it back. And so maybe that would be a way to build the channel, is to start reaching out to these companies and say, I don't have a large subscription base yet. It's not a bad subscription base. I do have a start. I have about 400 people who watch subscribe to the channel. And when I do hardware reviews of certain kinds of fairly recent products, they do tend to get pretty good viewership. So let's say, again, like they sent me like a $300 motherboard and 20,000 people watched that video. Even if like 1% of the people who watched that video went out and bought the motherboard, EVGA just made some pretty good sales. And maybe the video gets shared, or maybe those people tell their friends and say, oh, that motherboard is really cool, or whatever the fuck, And the people who watch that kind of video are the people who are going to be interested in buying that kind of a product anyway. They sought it out, on YouTube or whatever. They did a Google search for MSI Meg Ace Z390 motherboard or whatever it was that they did a search for, and they find a couple videos on YouTube, and maybe I'm one of them. And then it's like, again, they tell their friends about the board. That's good It's good cheap advertising for computer companies to utilize YouTube people like myself who do hardware reviews. It's just that, again, in my case, I have a small subscriber base, so not a whole lot of people are going to be watching mine. But again, like I say, some of mine, like that monitor, like the video card I mentioned, have had 25, 30, 40,000 views. That's pretty good for a company, again, that just wants to get, risk a $300 motherboard that, maybe they'll just tell me I can have it. Although I don't think that they do that. And actually that would sort of seem like a bit of a bribery to get you to say nice things about them. So maybe I wouldn't even want them to do that, because then people might accuse me of, some sort of impropriety by saying that, well, you're only reviewing that video card positively because ASUS gave it to you. And so I don't want that sort of accusation to be coming about. So yeah, it's probably for the best if they just like loan it to you and you can test it and say, okay, these were the things. Now, if you were kind of harsh in your review of their product, maybe they wouldn't continue to send them to you. But if that's the case, maybe that's the risk you got to take by being honest. There's a channel I watch called Worth a Buy. The guy who he's like one of the only people I support on Patreon. I give him like $10 a month because I think his content is really good and he's honest. That's why I really like his channel. The guy's super honest. Like, I don't think he's ever, at least I don't feel like he's ever lied about anything that he's said on there that I could tell. Not that I would necessarily be able to tell that for sure, but he seems like he's honest. If a game is crap, he'll say that it's crap, which he actually says on a regular basis. Plus, he's got an accent too, and that's partly why I think he has a funny delivery for his content. His name's Mac, actually, is what he, I'm not doxing him. He says that in his videos, but his name's Mac, and just a hilarious, I think I don't know where he's from. It sounds kind of Scottish or, European somewhere. I don't know exactly where he's from, but I really enjoy his content. Very, very funny, very smart guy, and he's a lot better at games than I am. He's really good at them. So, I've watched him play some of it, but his videos are always funny, always have a good, light humor about them, although he does make some more serious content. But in general, he tends to be funny. Kind of seems like he has similar political leanings to myself. Not that that should matter that much, but it just like, he gets tired of the politically correct bullshit, the censorious nature of today's modern leftist. You can, I've had some people complain about my statements about that. Sorry, but all the censorship of today is coming from the left. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go on a diatribe about my political leanings. I've said enough on it. But here's another little sip of Angel Zombie. Well, that said, guys, like I say, if you could leave a comment in the section, in the comment section, give me some suggestions on what you think you'd like to see come from the channel going in the future, that'd be helpful. Otherwise, like I say, I'm going to go ahead and try to do a Linux installation on that Alienware laptop, see if that works okay. If I can't get anything I want out of it, eventually what I probably will try to do is clone the Windows XP installation over to that IDE SSD and see how that functions. Maybe I'll try to do that first and then just see how it does, and then I can go ahead and wipe it again and install Ubuntu on there. I haven't played with Ubuntu in a while. That, as I remember, is like the most user-friendly version of Linux that you can get that I'm aware of. There are lots of distributions of Linux, like there's SUSE Linux and um, Debian, all these different versions. Um, some of it I haven't played with in a long time. They make what they call like live distributions, where you can like take a set of Linux files, put on like a thumb drive, a bootable thumb drive, and it boots into like a Linux environment, and it allows you to use basic functionality like you can surf the web, you can use probably like spreadsheets or something like that. But when you remove the thumb drive from it, it's like you never installed anything on anything, and it's back to being whatever was on that machine. So if it has a Windows installation or something, it doesn't get affected. It's pretty neat. It's like it's an autonomous booting environment. That said, I think that's probably good for tonight. Appreciate anybody who watches this. Like I say, it's just a little. I'm 40 years old this year, born in January 30th, 1980. Here we are in 2020. But yep, been a pretty good day. Like I say, had some fun with the grill. Had a good steak. I had a little cake earlier. It was a lemon pound cake. I don't normally eat too many sweets anymore. I'm on that ketogenic diet, but for my birthday, what the fuck? Have a little snack for me. But had a good day. Hope everybody else is having a good one, and that you continue to have a good one as you move into the weekend. But I'll try to get out a video here in the near future, considering that IDE solid state drive from King Spec. I don't know why it says Janssen. Like, what is whatever? I don't know what that's about. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Please give the video a like and a thumb. Maybe leave a comment. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thanks again. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Shit. I guess that didn't stop streaming.